Before we get started, we need to download one extension. The extension is Live Server, and you can find it when you go to the extension tab. As you guys can see it, I already have it downloaded. Once you download it, you can have a button, an option at the bottom to go live. Let me just turn it off right now. Alright, so go live. As you guys can clearly see it, my file is not loaded, but rather I'm put to a spot where I have to redirect it. Alright? It's because I don't have anything at this point. It's just a folder. Once it detects an index.html file, it's going to open it automatically. As you guys can clearly see it, once I redirect it towards Hook Solutions, it's going to open index.html automatically. I don't have to do anything after that. There we go. You don't have the color button right here. This is a starter file, and I'm going to leave it on the link below. Hey, sorry guys for the current delay. I'm trying to film the course and my laptop keeps crashing. I think the problem was CapCut. I was using the application CapCut, and I think it's the one, the problem. Every time I'm trying to edit, it just does not keep working. So I'm using a different editor right now. So hopefully it's not gonna crash after this point. And anyways, this is like my third take trying to film this course, so this is going really bad. I'm trying to film sections like my third time. Alright. So anyways, I'm going to make a dad joke right now. The course crashed, and that makes it technically a crash course. That was a really horrible dad joke, but yeah. Alright. Anyways, we're going to be using pickr. This is going to be the API that we're going to be using. There's Classic, Monolith, and Nano. When it comes to Classic one, it's wide, as you guys can see it. And there's the Monolith one, which is a bit more compact. And there's the Nano one too. I'm going to be using the Nano one, but you guys can follow along using Monolith or Classic, whatever suits you. Alright, let me go to the documentation. I'm going to again leave this in the link below so you guys can check it out for yourselves. So let's go towards getting started. Alright, you can again download it using npm, yarn, whatever suits you. But I'm going to be including it in my code and style. So I'm going to be importing the Nano one. Alright, you guys need to pay attention. There's a Monolith here, there's a Classic one here. So when you choose one, you have to stick to one. You cannot just use a Nano one, and there's actually an HTML that you're going to be putting here, the link in the HTML. And there's a different one, Nano, Monolith, and Classic. You cannot just put Monolith here and decide, you want Classic here. It's going to cause an error. So don't do that. So let me just copy this. I'm just going to use Nano again. You guys can use whatever you want. No pressure. Alright. Let me go to my style.css. Let me import it. There is an error here. All you have to do is there's the @ symbol here, as you guys can see it. And this inside of the quotation, just remove it and put the @ symbol in front of here. Right? That should fix it. This is just an error. And there we go. It's just easily fixed. Alright. Then after that, what we're going to be doing is, this is the modern or AS5 bundle. I'm not going to be using that. So again, I'm just going to be using this, the full 19. Right. Then I'm going to be going towards the link. Again, I'm using Nano, so I'm only going to put the Nano one here. Put it in the document's head. Let me go to my index.html. Let me go all the way up. There's my head. And then there you go. There's the link. Put it right here. And also, I'm going to be putting the modern or AS5 bundle of it. So I'm going to be taking the script tag. I'm going to put the modern one, but you guys can use the ES5 one if you want it to be more backward compatible. But again, it's just a matter of, again, as I said, what you value more. So let me just do that. The script, I'm going to put it inside of the body, under, so at the bottom of the body, as you guys can see it. Put it right here. Almost finishing up, actually, starting. And we're going to copy this in our script.js that we just attached to our index.html file. Alright, script file that we attached to our HTML. There's script.js. Don't mind all these. All these are like the functions that I'm going to be using for like scroll revealing, and also maybe the other one is a slider one that is located, for example, right here. This is the slider that I'm going to be using too. This also includes code and all that, so don't worry about it. It does not relate to this code, so again, don't feel overwhelmed. Understand the code. You guys can use it in whatever project you want. Alright. Let's go back here. And finally, I'm going to be copying this to start. This is just again a starter file, and we're going to be editing a lot of it, and I'm going to be trying to explain everything that we're going to be editing on this course. So let's begin from here. And as you guys can see, there's an element here. So this pickr.create, and there's an element. As you guys can see, object is an object right here, and then there's element, and then there's color picker as a value. This is the class of the div that we're going to be defining here. So it needs a physical existence, as you guys can see. This is the finished one, and you guys can find it at solutions.netlify.app if you guys want to check it out. But this is again, this exists on the HTML file. So you guys can see this is existent, and this obviously you can interact with it. So it's in the body, and we need something to define this. And that's where we're going to be specifying it, all right? So on this one, I actually named it. This is a project that I finished a few months ago, so I actually named it pickr on that one. So I'm going to name it pickr, and I'm going to add the HTML file there. Again, I'm putting it between touch container, toggle container. Don't be overwhelmed. It's not something related to what you're supposed to do, but rather it's located inside of the navigation bar. That's where I want it to be. So let me find the actual code. Let me copy and paste it, because I have the div here, and I actually have something to have a container too. You might be asking me, why do I have the container? Well, the container helps is on just simply, you guys can see that white right here. So for example, let's say I turn it to black, Okay, that's too low. Okay, let me go to the other one. We have something that we can interact with. We still cannot interact with this. Okay, I understand why. Let me go here, and before actually doing this, as you guys can see, there's classic here, and obviously I cannot use classic. I again use nano, so I have to stick to nano. Alright. So everything seems fine. So let's say I do this and save it. So if there was no, let's say, border, as you guys can see that white container right here, there was no that white container that's carrying the color picker API. If let's say it blends in, people will obviously not notice it, and people will be like, what is this, So yeah, this helps it to stand out and to actually be noticed the first time. So this is just what it does, alright? That's why I have a picker container, right? Okay, so we've got again inside of a picker. This is going to be again the one that's going to have the color picker right here. Let's continue, and let's go to our script.js. So what are these swatches? Swatches are the ones that are preset right here. So as you guys can see, look at all these colors that are preset right here and just left here. Those are the swatches, and you guys can actually put the color whatever you want. So let me actually for now let me just put a hue of, actually I don't know that much of RGB. Oh wait, I do. I thought this was HSL. I'm like, oh, I do not know that much about HSL. RGB, I'm fine with it. Let's say I put this 0 just to actually make it red, like pure red, so you guys can actually see it. Let me just do that. So you guys can see it. You guys can see a color red here. No, you guys cannot see the color red. This is okay. So RGBA sort of here. Specify that it's just solid red. All right, there we go. We have solid red right here. There we go. With HSL, you guys can check it out. There we go. And RGB. Yeah, there we go. This is the one that we set, and all it does is just preset values. And I actually have preset values of mine, and I'm going to be putting that. Let me just copy it and paste it. I have it written in like hexadecimal. That's what like I prefer, but you guys can again use whatever you want, RGB, HSL, as long as it's available and it's compatible with the library, with the API. It's okay, right? So this should change all these colors. So one thing I'm going to be changing to about this is like the contrast. Contrast is really irrelevant here, and let's say I put 0% contrast, then nothing will be visible here. So it makes no sense of me to do that. So let me do that, and let me turn off the contrast mode in opacity mode in the pickr API. So let me first begin from here. There we go. Opacity that was set to true, set it to false, and it no longer will be there. Let me show it to you guys again. There's no longer the opacity, opacity tab here. The only one that we have is like 1, so we guys cannot control the opacity anymore. Right? Let me go do that, and this is our again preference. I love to keep things minimal and don't have too much of again color systems. So I'm going to keep hex, RGBA, HSLA, but SVA needs to go because I really don't even know it that much. I don't even know what it is. I think it's a color system, but I don't remember how it works. So it's quite unpopular. I'll keep that false. Clear. I really don't find the point of clear right now is because you guys can just again all you have to do is just change it. So you change the color and you change the color again. So you guys do not need to clear. So let me show you what I mean. So let's say the color was this, and you again change it here. You guys can just change it. You don't need to clear it. All right. You don't need to go back towards the default one. When you clear, you go to the default one. You don't need to do that. So I'm going to again keep it false. Right. So let me go here. So you guys can also like comment it. It's in preference, and its default value is going to be false. So you guys can just do that too. When it comes to even everything, so even opacity, you can just set it to like this, and it's going to be rendered as false. Let me show it to you guys. Opacity still is not here, as you guys can see it. So yeah, you guys can do that too. But yeah, you guys roll with what you want to do. All right. So once we're done customizing the pickr API, now we want to make it functional. So we're going to be doing just that. And when it comes to on is like, this is init. And when init is actually quite simple. So when there is a color change, it's going to be calling a function. So when it detects a color change, let's say here from here, here from here, maybe from here, from here, like from even small distances, when it detects a color change, it's going to be calling this function. As you guys can see, it instance and just does all this. Obviously this is useless. It just shows what actually we have right here, nothing more than that. So let me go here, and one thing I want to do is just take this function all off, and I'm going to be using color parameter, and there's the instance parameter. I'm not going to be using instance, but I'm just going to put it as a placeholder right here. Alright, so one thing I want to do is, oh wait, this is not a function. Yeah. So one thing I want to do is I don't want that unstable change. Why is this so that I'm not using init is when it comes to the optimization of the website, it's not going to be smooth. Not only that too, but let's say when we're working with, let's say, contrast again, we're going to be working on another section on contrast is, let's say I save this, it's going to say contrast is just too low, so it's not going to be accepting me changing it to, again, white. So if I change it to white, then obviously if, let's say, I kept this, it's going to be invisible. All of this will not be visible, all right? So it will not let me do it. So that's why I'm going to be using save, right? When it saves, when I touch the save button, that is located, that's going to call this function. So there's a save button. Once I say save, that's when it's going to actually do something, right? So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be naming a variable, right? And we're going to be using this parameter. And I want to show you guys what this parameter is. So it's going to be an object, and let me show it to you guys. I'm the one who uses semicolons in like JavaScript. I don't know why I keep using it. I'm using semicolons, which I don't know why. Anyways, let me just save that, for example. text as an example. Let me open the developer tab, and we're supposed to have on line 298, 298. Okay, there we go. You guys can see it. So let me help you guys see it. So a object, and you guys can see there's just a lot of it. So we want the answer, the current color, in hex form. It's just again method of preference. You guys can use whatever you want. So let me do that. So color, go to just do that. Okay. Let me again change color. So let me save it after changing. And let me save that. There we go. We have an array. So this one is like hashtag 1b2ad3. It's just kept in an array, and we want to keep it in a string. So I want the answer on a string. So all I have to do is again go from the hexa to dot to a string function. Let's do that. Let's say save it right here. Oh, there we go. You just find the exact color here. There we go. We have the same color right here. All right, perfect. So what we're going to be doing right now is, after that, actually, let me show you guys something. So I have everything saved as a variable here when it comes to the color themes. So you guys can actually do is just change the value of these variables, so you indirectly change the colors. So you're going to be changing not only this color, but also the ones that have the same colors. You guys can see it. This one, all of them have the same color, so we're going to be changing it all at once. So yeah, variables make it really easy and actually sustainable. All right, so use variables when it comes towards changing color, and we're also going to need this when it comes towards changing dark mode and light mode. On this one, we're going to need it. All right, so let's go back here. The main skin color 900 is the light purple. As you guys can see, the lighter purple from here. And this one, where like join meetup is like the background. The background of join meetup is like the purple one. The logo of hook is like the purple one. The purple one is like the main color, right? So this is the main skin color 900, and the main skin color 100 is this one, the background of welcome, we're coming to Singapore, the big one. So as you guys can see, the dark purple right here, that's main skin color 100. As described here. If I change it, for example, let's say towards greeny, you guys can actually see the change. There we go. There we go. We're talking about the one that just changed to green from dark purple to green, right? I'm just helping you guys. Let me just put that back to where it was, right? With that in mind, let me go towards script.js. I'm gonna get to colorchecker.js. This is the one that we're going to be using for checking contrast and all that. I'm going to get to it, but for this section, I'm just going to continue on actually setting it up and actually making color picker like function. All right, that's what I'm going to be trying to do for like the. Let me just do that. I'm trying to find the code right here that I wrote. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is going to document. So I'm going to be changing the value of the variable towards the current color. All right. So you go to document, element, and then you go to dot, then you go to finally style, and then you go to set property, and you specify the variable name that you want to change. So in color 900, what I wanted to do is generally just go and change to the current color. Again, as you guys can see, this is going to be a string, the current color, and replace the value that actually used to be, where was it? HSL 245. Get 57%, 56% into the current color. So let's actually check it out ourselves and let's play around. Let's save that. I don't know if it changed that much. It did, but I'm not really quite sure. Let me just save that, and you guys can see it just changed towards all of the website. But one thing is, obviously this one did not change, the darker one. We're gonna need to change that too, and not only that too, but we're also going to be working on our contrast again. If let's say again I put this white, which seems pretty fine right now, except for like the join meetup, the sections, you guys can see it's not working properly. And okay, the icons are not visible right now. even to me. And when we actually change this to like light mode, this is gonna be really annoying. You can barely see the logo here. You can barely see it. I don't think if you guys can even see it, to be honest. Alright, and there's the background. It's all gone. As you guys can see it, it's all gone. The background, the circle that we had of the div, and it's all gone. Again, I told you guys. So yeah, we're gonna be working on this, and there's no, as you guys can see, there's an underline right here, and it just totally disappeared. And again, the contrast is just too low, and it's barely even readable. Right? So we're going to be working on that section and also on this one. So one thing before I go to the other section of actually checking the contrast and all that is, if you see like main skin color 900 and main skin color 100 is like the HSL is quite the same. Like when it comes to the hue, it's quite the same. When it comes to saturation, there's a bit difference right here, but the big difference is in lightness. As you guys can see, the main skin color 100, the darker one, has significantly lower light than the higher one, the brighter one. So we're going to need a formula for that, right? So we're going to be working with that, and uh, we're also going to again contrast checker. We're going to be checking contrasts in the next section. So until then, you actually have a functioning actually color changer, but we're going to be working on both sections again just to challenge you guys, and again, it's really going to be necessary. All right, see you guys in the next course, in the next section of this course. Okay, so let's follow up on the course, and let me go here, and obviously you guys can see there's a contrast again checker, so that you guys can actually, it tells you the contrast is just too low. For example, this one is valid. Again, you guys can change it, the values, and like which one is acceptable or not. For me, it's visible, but even though it does not have like the best contrast ratio, it's visible. Again, you guys can change that. This one, for example, I put a lower, and now saying contrast too low, just put it like very close to black. All right, so let's get started with this one, and also creating this one, making it darker. So let's go to VS Code. But before we start, we're going to be using a JavaScript here, all right? Colorchecker.js. Again, it's going to be in the starter files, and you guys can check it out in both the starter and actually the end files. I'm not going to be changing this or touching it. I've not done to code this, but I'm going to be using this, all right? So one thing too is we're going to be using color checker functions. For example, it's going to be check colors. Where we go to function check colors, but as you guys can clearly see, this is not a module. It's not saved as a module. Here we go, script, and it's not saved as a module. We're not going to be using modules and all that. All right. The thing is, if you have, let's say, a script connected to index.html, like this is, right? So when we have like two different scripts connected, it's going to actually read one another, right? So you guys do not need to use modules. So no need to use modules in this case, so we can directly use check colors, but I'm going to be using this function. So we're going to be using this function, like, and there will be no problem, right? Okay, let me go here, and let me go here, and we're going to be defining, first thing we're going to be doing is just defining color, black and white. Just do that in just the string form, in the hexadecimal form, because we put this in hexadecimal, right? Using that, and let color black also hashtag 0. I'm going to be using this throughout the code, and I just wanted to define it again only once, so like define the variables. It just does not have any other meaning more than that. Okay, so when working with this, what we're going to be doing is right now we're going to be using the check color function, right? So I'm going to show you how it works. I actually had a lot of problem making this work and reading the documentation, so you guys don't have to. And making this, hopefully it's going to be a 30-minute video. Hopefully. I might come out with that. Right. So there we go. Check colors, color white, and color current color. I want to check if the current color and color is the same. So if we, let's say, console like this, and you guys think that's going to give us, let's say, contrast or an object that just contains lots of properties, and we can say dot contrast. It's not. All right, so let me show it to you guys. It's line 302 here. Let me go not to the demo. Let me go to the starter file. and it's undefined. Line 302. Let me show it to you guys. Let me just go here. 302. Undefined. Okay? It's undefined. Okay. It's not how it goes, alright? So what happens is once we run this function is the data is going to be stored not here, but at color data, alright? So I have to save it in a variable. So let me say contrast white. Let me go here and say contrast white is equals to color data dot contrast. You guys can check the whole color data and just let me first wait to you guys before actually just going to the contrast version. Okay. Let me just put this here, and there you go. We have the foreground, we have the background, we have all these, again, all these properties. You guys can see it. We have the contrast. We're interested in the contrast, all right, here. We're not interested in the foreground text. We're not interested in the background text and all that. We're only interested, again, only on the aspect of, again, contrast, all right? When obviously they're working between you might be wondering what's foreground text, background text, and all that. Let me show you a contrast checker right here so you guys actually understand what's going on, right? Contrast checker. Lots of ads here. I'm just going to be using this because I know it. You guys can see the foreground is like when this is. Let me show it to you guys actually. So the foreground is just saying this is the background, and when actually this is the text, alright? So we just can change this, and oh, I like the contrast. Again, you guys can see 8.59 here, and again, the same ratio, but again, it just has different visibility. Okay, that's just it. And the only thing we're interested here is again contrast. So let's just go to contrast and just fix it. Right. So clear white, here contrast. Hopefully now we're going to be getting a value between 1 and 21. Let me just first just put it to some dark blue. Okay, get a value 10.3. If I put it to black, where again, as you guys can see, it does not matter about like changing the button. For example, this is light or dark mode. Obviously it doesn't. Right now we're only checking is the difference between color white and the current color. Alright, so white and the current color. So we expect the contrast to be low for white color, and again, it's comparing to white color, so it's going to be having the minimum value, which is a 1. So we expect a 1. It's not fully 1. Let me put it to exactly 1. So to do that, let me just go all the way to FFF. Alright, now we get a 1. And then when I put black, I expect to have a 21 right there. Alright, everything seems to be working fine. Okay, so now that's how we're going to be using to actually see the contrast. Alright, so let's do that. Okay, so that's for contrast white. And one thing about color data, let me first write the same code for like the black, and I'm going to explain the one thing about color data, alright, and how it stores it. Okay, so let me go here, and let's go to color black. And just going to name the contrast black, color data.contrast. So one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is once we call the check colors again, let me actually start from the white one to actually make sense of this. So check colors, color white, and current color. So once we run the test and like check the colors between color white and current color, it's going to be stored in color data. And again, that array is going to again have the contrast. So we're going to go like to color data.contrast. Again, the object has like color data.contrast. So one thing is we run this function again. So what happens is the color data is cleared. So white is cleared again, and we're going to need, so it's going to clear this first when it's checking the colors between black and the current color. It's going to first delete the check colors between color white and the current color, the data between it, and then it's going to save the new data here, right? That's why I need to name the variables here, but if I actually put it right here, it's actually going to have the same value. So let me show it to you guys. So right now, color contrast white and contrast black is the same because it's just again using only this. So let me also log contrast and contrast black, and we expect to have the black one here because again this one overtakes it, okay, overwrites it, and overwrites it, and again, we're only going to see the black one. So it's going to be the same. We expect to have the same number, and it's going to be only comparing color black with the current color. So when I put black color with the current color is black too, we expect a 1. So let me check it out. So let me put black here and expect a value of 1. On both ends, we get 1. You guys can see it here. All right. That's why I define the value right here before calling the check colors right here. All right. So it's going to be important here. Okay, once we're done with that, what we're going to be doing is just pretty simple, right? So let me just take off this console.log and let me put an if and else statement. And what I'm going to do is, all it's going to do is alert, all right? Contrast is too low. That's just it. This is going to be the message that's going to be putting out there. If, let me put the if clause here. So contrast of black, let's say for example, is less than 1.2, which is very small, but again, I'm just putting this low so that you guys can test around with it. But again, I highly suggest if you're working on a professional website to actually make the contrast requirements more higher. Okay, so contrast white to, let's say, less than 1.2. So when it's less than this, it's not gonna work. All right, that's what we want. We don't want it to work. Okay, that's just about it. So let's go here and let me save it. So now what we expect is when I go here, it's going to be like contrast is too low and does not change. Okay, when I do this though, it's going to work pretty fine. But you guys can see it's not that quite visible. Again, you can again add upon the contrast requirements. It's just again a matter of preference, nothing more than that, right? So that's one thing. But the one thing you guys also notice is this one does not change color. The purple one does not change color, the dark purple one. And how do we make it change color? So let me actually fix that too, and actually even add another requirement for this. All right. So here's one thing about HSL. Let me go to HSL, hue, saturation, and light. All right. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and light. Okay. Nothing more than that. So hue is like the color between all of these, as you guys can see. It's just nothing more than that. So you guys can just check it out. There we go. They have this constant S, right? That's like the second parameter is again S, and the third one, the 50%. For example, here is the light. Okay. So one thing we're going to be doing here is again, hue is just going to be a number that's going to be dictating what type of color it's going to be. The saturation is going to be defining how good the color is going to be, because if you put the saturation to 0, you're going to be getting okay, I'm supposed to be here pointing here. If you get the saturation to 0, it's going to be silver, like straight on silver. Like if I put the saturation here, let me just copy this. This is the HSL of red, and let me just say I accidentally put this to 0%, and we get straight away again silver one, as you guys can see it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be getting if you again keep it to this point. Let me actually keep this to 100, so you guys can actually use the graph again. Talking about L. Light. This is going to be the most important, the darkness and the lightness. So as you guys can see, this is again lightness here, right? We're talking about light and like how it changes and how it's going to actually affect it lighter or darker. So when it's set to 100%, it's going to be white, and when it's set to 0%, it's going to be black, and all of it is going to be in between. So the standard is to be 50%. So for most cases, it's going to be 50% and all that. Again, it matters here. And what we want to do is we want to make it darker, all right? If let's say we have a 40% darkness, we want to keep it to 20% or like 25%. And depending on preference, 25% darker. So again, it's going to have a darker tone towards it here. That's just about it. So we're going to do that, we're going to actually need to do a bit more work, because we're going to need to use HSL mode. And again, till now we've been using hexadecimal system, okay? So it's going to be a bit more tough, and if you guys want to proceed more with this course, you guys can. But if you guys like finish at this point, you guys can actually leave and yeah, enjoy it for the most part. But again, there's one also thing that I want to add upon this. and it is on the aspect of light, right? Like how much light, and again, we're going to use this in the parameters to actually check it, because contrast is just not enough to actually check if it's visible or not, as you guys saw it right here. Okay, so let me, for example, put let me save this, for example. Actually, this one is quite visible, I think so. Let me save this. It does save. I don't think it's gonna save on this one though. I don't really remember it, to be honest. I'll just paste it. Save. And it says contrast is again too low. And again, when I save it on this one, it's okay. And it's barely visible here. And we're gonna be making it again more advanced and hopefully going to have a purpose here, right? So that's what we're gonna be doing. Okay, so again, if you guys are not interested in actually strengthening the algorithm, again, on that checks on the contrast, you guys can actually, yeah, you're fully done here. And also when it comes to this aspect of dark, but if you guys want to progress further in this course and challenge yourself, you're welcome. So let's continue to the other section of this course on, I think on a bit after a bit, all right? Okay, so let's get back and fix the current darker color, and let's make the the algorithm more, again, the contrast to low algorithm more efficient, right? Let's do that. So one thing about, let me first open VS Code before actually speaking. Okay, one thing about the color picker, like the check colors between this, is only it receives hexadecimal. So the current color is again saved in hexadecimal, and again color black and color white are saved in hexadecimal. All right, so we're going to need another. Let's put this here, and we're going to need another HSL color. It's a color actually, because there's just uh, two options. Right, color two HSL A. We have that, and we don't have two HSL. That's the problem. As you know what A is, it just, I don't even remember what A is. I know it relates to opacity, but what is like the full form of it? And again, it's okay. I program stuff, and sometimes I forget stuff, so it's okay. And again, when it comes to even RGBA, what does A stand for? Or in RGBA. Oh, it's not for alpha. I thought it had like a more meaningful word behind it. Oh well, alpha. And anyways, this obviously controls the opacity. If we go here and let's say we're using HSL A, and let's say I put a value of 1 here, everything seems fine. But I put a value of 0.5. I think this accepts HSL. I'm not sure about that though. I don't think it does. It's just not showing HSL vibes here. HSL A, like color picker. So we can actually use HSLA. Okay, there we go. We can use HSLA. So it's more opaque. So let me just go towards, let's say, a far more known color. Let's say red. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we go. By the way, hue is a circle. So if you go to the 0, it's going to be red. So 0 and 360 are the same. Anyways, let's go back to the point. If I put this at 0.5, this becomes less opaque, as you guys can see it. You guys can see the background more, so it's just more, again, opaque. So we removed opacity from Hook, as you guys can see on the color picker, like earlier on, so we don't need the HSLA format. We're only going to use the HSL, all right? So again, we only have the option of using HSLA from the API. So I'm going to change the HSLA and remove the A, and it's always going to be 1. And always set that to, again, I'm going to set it to HSL, all right? That's what I'm going to be doing, okay? So once I have that set, let me go to HSLA color is equals to HSLA color. So again, I'm going to be replacing it. I'm going to be saying, hey, hopefully you guys know dealing with, you know how to deal with regular expressions, right? So this is going to be global, variable of global, and either it sees A, it's going to be removing A, and also a space, all right? Because if you guys actually, let me copy, let me console.log. HSLA color for you guys so you guys can actually see it. It's going to replace an empty string, right? So basically removing it. So let me print that here. You guys can actually see HSLA here, as you guys can see. You guys can see it, right? There's an A here. There, again, as you guys can see between it, there is space, and I want to remove it because I'm going to need it. I'm going to need to remove it because I'm going to be working on it. So again, I'm going to be also removing space. Okay, so then አንዴ ያቋረጥከኝ ታውቃለህ አይደል? በጣም ከትልቅ ስራ እንዳቋረጥከኝ ሪኮርድ ያደረኩ። Okay, somebody interrupted me like right now, and I stopped right here at the dot slice. I'm really sorry. Sometimes it can get a bit lousy and a bit loud. All right, so let me go here. All right, so let me actually print it so you guys can actually see what is going on. So just a color. So you got this line 312. 312. Okay, let me just put that here and see that. And 312, we have this. As you guys can see, A is removed, but we also want to remove that one because it just does not hold any value to us, all right? So what we're going to be doing is here we're going to be slicing, right? Dot slice 0 and 2 minus 3. It's going to be constant because it's always going to be 1 again, so it does not matter. And we're going to add the bracket again. Let me actually show it to you guys before actually adding the bracket because it's a pre-written code and it might seem quite obvious for me, even though it's not. Right, there we go. And I also remove the bracket here, right? So let me put the bracket. There we go. Added it together. There we go. Now it's good. Now it's an HSL color for the one that we wanted originally. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to be doing one thing, right? So I'm going to be actually using this regular expression. I'm not going to write this regular expression here. I'll write it on place to write it. Things.com rich x-ray. That's the one. Okay. So we're gonna write a code that actually is going to not only check the HSL, I don't want that much of it, but more of on the aspect of grouping it, alright? I'm going to show you why it's important. Right? So let me first begin here. I want first is like the keyword to be HSL. Then the value is 24. Again, this is gonna be a whole value, not like a decimal one. Well, this one can be a decimal. These are in randomly. It's gonna be go here 78, and that's what we expect for the normal HSL. And okay, so I don't want to.
Hey, Daddy.
All right, let's continue recording. And somebody interrupted me for like the second time, so yeah. Let's continue. I believe we stopped here. Let me go back to VS Code. I had to wait for everybody to sleep, so like before continuing this course. Anyways, so we replace this. All right. So I said again, I'm gonna be constructing an HSL, a regular expression that's going to be working on actually, moving the spaces. Right. Again, on this tape, again remove all the spaces, and again I removed the A and again the value of 1 because it was unnecessary. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to this is just actually be using backslash not forward slash. I uploaded the wrong one. Yeah, to make it possible so that it does not group it, using parentheses is that it groups it. I don't want it to be a group. I'm talking about this, alright? I'm talking about this parentheses, and Again, I'm just skipping the character here. So that's not a special character, but rather just a normal character, because this has another meaning in regular expression. And I hope you guys have a basic understanding of regular expression as we progress further, right? So at this stage, what do we expect is a number between 0 and 9. So over here, and we expect a number between 0 and 9. We expect a number between 0 and 9, and we also it's again for example this one for float numbers, right, for decimals. Yes. 0 to 9. But you also need to work on the percentage sign. We don't have a percentage sign, but here we do the second parameter, so we need the percentage sign. We're gonna need this again. Slightness and comes to black and white. So I'm going to group it here so that we can use it even for the second for a contrast checker. So to further advance the contrast checker, so to make it more how am I supposed to say this, more smart, all right? That's why. Sorry, so let me go here and let's do exactly the same thing. Okay, but inside of the parentheses, I'm just going to set here. Okay, nothing is being selected at this point. There's something I did wrong. Let me just check. 0 to 9, that's what we expect here. And then we expect, okay, plus in case obviously this is going to have, again, it's going to select it once. Then we expect a comma, again, with no spaces, alright? No spaces being used here. Then again, point, and 0 to 9. There's a plus on it. And there's the percentage. I don't know why it's not working. I'm trying to think of a solution here. I don't know why though. This is the one that's being skipped. This is the skipped character. Everything seems fine as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I see. I think there's no percent here. There we go. Percent. Now, this is what we're going to be using, obviously, to select it. You guys can use another alternative. Assume that most of you have a basic understanding of regular expression because this is intermediate level, right? This course is like intermediate level and not like beginner friendly. Okay? So, we just see regular expression and we'll just see that. Here, let me see if that. Let me match it with, let's say, let me just say SL result, right? I'm just gonna call it that. Doesn't matter obviously, but I want to extract it. Excuse me. Alright. Anyways, here's the HSL. Let me need it to be. So one thing you guys notice here is before actually, you guys can see I grouped it. You guys can see I just put a parenthesis here, making a group. On this one, you guys can see a parenthesis, but I skipped it with the backward slash. Again, forward slash is this one. I don't want you guys to confused. This is the forward slash. And at the top of the enter key, there's like the backslash, right? Let me do the forward slash like right now. So anyways, in regular expression, I used it to escape it. So it's not going to be a group, right? So it's not going to be a group. It's just going to be this one here. The parenthesis that is here, that appears here. It does not have any more of a meaning other than that, right? But here we have another group. So when I console.log it, I expect the whole text and I expect this group only, which is going to be 78% here. For example, in this case, it's going to be 78 in the percentage sign. So I expect the last value here. So to do that, let me see it. Okay. All right. Let me see that, and let me turn on line 317. Yeah, this is where on line 317. Yes. Let's check it out. There we go. We have the HSL again. Nothing really surprising about it. But as you guys can see, we have the last value, which is going to be again important because we're going to be reducing the light. We're going to keep the same hue and saturation, but we're only going to be reducing the light, especially on the back one here, as you guys can see it. So yeah, it's going to be important. All right. So with that in mind, let me continue. Okay. So, so what we're going to be doing is we have HSL result 1, which is going to be the last value of it. All right. So what I can do is, okay, not only that too, but I can use another prerequisite here. Okay. Really need to. This is the result. As you guys can see, the last value of the HSL, so it's going to be the light here, greater than 65. Here, and 65. Or result again, though this is nothing more than that. All right. Sorry, it's not more it should be, but if it is like not between 65 and 15, it's going to say contrast is too low, as you guys can see it. So if it's greater than 65, it's going to be too bright. And again, when it compare it to white, so it's going to be contrast too low. And when you compare it to less than 15, so when you put it right here, it's not going to be working. All right. Again, it's a matter of preference, and this is not I'm not with the best. When it comes to contrast, I'm not with the best values here. All right. So just keep that in mind, and I think this is just tinker around and find the best one that works for your site. All right. So with that in mind, now we can check if the contrast is too low. And one final thing that we're going to be doing is to finish up this course is we're going to need to finally actually, let me first show you guys actually the results. So this is quite more. This tells me the contrast is too low, as you guys can see it. But the last time it would actually let you use this color again, which again you cannot use anymore. So it's going to be more strict. All right. Reference error result is not defined. When it comes to this, what happened? Result is not defined. I said result here. Maybe I said result instead of HSL result. Okay, it looked at like HSL result only being written 65, and it only used that for like brightness. Again, this is when it comes to light. So again, did not check the one that is like has a very small light. So that's why I did not notice it. And I did not get an error here. HSL result. Oh, it's capital. I'm using camel keys. Okay, so this in the middle of the night. Maybe almost going to be middle of the night, to be honest. It's not middle of the night, but it is for me because I sleep early. Okay. 135, 100%, 50. Alright, there we go. Everything seems to be working fine now. There's no more error. It tells me the contrast is too low again, as you guys can see. The aspect of saturation is very low. When it comes to the light, it's just very high. As you guys can see, it's greater than 65, so it got rejected. Okay, so with that in mind, now let's work with the darker color. Color 2, and again, it's going to be tinkering around with the light. Again, we're not going to be changing the hue because hue, as I said again, is literally this. It's like changing the color, so you don't want to change the color. All you want to do is just change what? The light. So again, it gets darker. So if this is the color, you want to make it maybe a bit darker, maybe to this one, for example, with 35% light. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. So let's do that and finish this course. Okay, so I'm going to name this current of current color, and like we're gonna be using current darker color. And let me define it here. So okay, result just a result replace. So we want to change the value again. I'm going to change the result one that we've been using. It's obviously going to be L, so the light value again. Right, so I'm going to be like, hey, replace result one by it's own like I'm going to be using a binary or a ternary operator. Whole as a whole as statement. Forgetting to actually my other side of the code that on the other side of the code I just wrote the result, which is a nonsense factor. Yet indicating settings, right? So we do that. We're using another one. Jesus, I barely even cut it properly. Where is it? Just a result. There we go. Then I'm replacing it with this. Does not really matter about like float because it's almost the same, right? But again, you guys can just parse float, but it's going to be like a very small difference to consider it. It's just this. You guys can obviously so we're saying mind. I'm gonna show you guys what I did. Replace again, as I said, and the value that going to be replaced is the light, obviously. And I said parse int if it's greater than 40. Right? If it's less than 40, sorry, if it's less than 40, what we're going to be doing is minus 40. Then add the percentage sign towards it. Alright, that's how we're going to be replacing. Later, and in this case, we're just going to set the result. Alright, there we go. So let me read my code right here. Less than 40. If it's less than 40, again. Okay, so okay, I see. If the result is less than 40, again, when it comes to aspect of light, it's dark, obviously, as you guys can know. What we're going to be doing is, if this is true, if it's less than 40, we're going to minus 40. Wait, that does not make sense. Greater than 40, we're going to minus 40 from that, right? And then once we minus it, we're going to add the percentage sign towards it. Okay? Nothing more than that. And then if not, then what we can go is again, if the HSL result is, let's say, less than 40, we're going to go to 15% directly. All right, we're going to replace it with 15%. And after that, we're just going to set it to and the dark. And hopefully everything should be working pretty fine. Okay, so let's go back to Hook. Let's go save it right here. Result is not defined. I said result here somewhere. Okay, there we go. Everything seems to be working pretty fine. you guys can see it. It's working pretty fine. And yeah, we're done with this course. And again, it tells you when the contrast is too low or too high. That's just about it. So yeah, you guys again can change this around because this is not the most perfect one. If I go, let's say a bit down, I'm sure I can hack it. Like to a point. Okay, maybe it's too low. Okay, it is. Okay, there we go. I don't know. I mean, it's good actually. Relatively checking it out, it's not that bad, but obviously it could be improved upon. So yeah, I think that's about it for this course. And all I have to say is congratulations for finishing this course. And I have to play the outro song. I'm gonna get copyright stricken. Like I'm gonna have copyright strike and all that. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna make money off of this because it's like my first course. Uh, but whatever. I mean, come on. I cannot play the outro song. I have to include memes here. Alright, anyways, thank you for joining in. I really enjoyed teaching you guys. Really enjoyed learning. Teaching. Well, I'm also learning at the same time while I'm teaching because I really did not know what this code meant. So I was checking this code and actually checking what I did like a few months ago. So yeah, it's not actually that bad. And I spent like few hours to film it and write this course. Actually filming it, then reading my own code and understanding it, and taking especially takes, especially it crashed and all that. So yeah, it's not the perfect course, but I really enjoy making it. Thank you for tuning in. If you like, I think subscribe. I don't know, if you don't like the video or something. Anyways, thank you a lot for tuning in. See you in the next one.